So, apparently, at Francois Dupont College, what started as a completely normal school day turned into whatever this is. Sabrina was sitting in a class when she glanced out of the window and spotted a very strange guy starting directly at her. And when I say strange, I mean the man literally walked up to the classroom window like that was a perfectly normal thing to do. At this point, Sabrina was probably thinking, I'm asleep. Did I accidentally take a nap during math? Later that evening, she got home and her father asked her how school was. Now imagine trying to explain this. Instead, she grabbed her phone, and that's when things got even weirder. Messages started appearing from the same mysterious guy. Apparently, his preferred greeting was calling her beauty. The next day, he showed up again, right outside the classroom window, again. Sabrina was completely fascinated by him. So fascinated, in fact, that she asked the teacher if she could leave class, and somehow she ended up near the old stone statue in the school courtyard. Then suddenly, everything changed. The world around her became brighter. The trees glowed with impossible colors. Tiny lights floated through the air. It looked less like a school courtyard and more like somebody accidentally installed a fantasy expansion pack. And there he was. The mysterious stranger finally introduced himself. His name was Noir, which is absolutely the kind of name you'd expect from a man who appears through classroom windows. A parallel reality of miraculous stories. Sabrina was completely captivated, and Noir wasted absolutely no time. 1 minute they're talking, the next minute they're lying together in the glowing grass while he gives her a beautiful heart-shaped necklace. He placed the necklace around her neck, and Sabrina was thrilled. For the first time, someone was paying attention to her. For the first time, someone was calling her beautiful. And yes, it's a little weird. And then, just like that, Noir disappeared. The magical atmosphere vanished. The fantasy world faded away. Panic immediately kicked in. She ran through the strange forest looking for a way out. It was beautiful before. Now it felt terrifying. Eventually, she found an opening hidden inside a massive tree and managed to escape. Back home, she barely slept. Because unfortunately, she wasn't alone. Somewhere in the darkness, Noir was still watching her. The next day, she told Marinette everything. Unfortunately, Marinette didn't exactly take the story seriously. And honestly, can you blame her? But things got even worse. A strange girl suddenly appeared and started threatening Sabrina. Like genuinely threatening her. Sabrina discovered that the stone statue had collapsed, meaning there was no obvious way back to Noir. She began gaining weight, her stomach started growing, and she felt awful. Completely awful, confused and scared. Sabrina tried calling Noir again and again and again. Nothing. He had vanished without a trace. Eventually, she went to the doctor, and that's when she received life-changing news. Sabrina was pregnant. The test confirmed everything, and suddenly her entire world fell apart. Terrified of what people would say, she felt she had no choice but to leave and hide away in the countryside until nobody could see what had happened. Shadybug had her own plans. Furious with the Noir for betraying her, she decided revenge was the only option. And who better to use than Adrien? She deliberately sat on a bench where she knew Adrien would pass by. Then, using her powers, she manipulated him into sitting beside her. From the shadows, Noir watched everything, and he was absolutely furious, jealous, angry, and clearly not finished causing problems. Meanwhile, Adrien had witnessed the entire situation unfold. Unfortunately for him, Noir was not exactly thrilled about that. In fact, he immediately attacked Adrien. which meant Adrien had to transform into Cat Noir. Back at school, Adrien couldn't focus on anything. Marinette kept sending him messages too, but Adrien wasn't waiting for text from either of them. No, he was waiting for one specific person, the strange girl who had completely taken over his thoughts, Shadybug, which is unfortunate because Chloe was still technically his girlfriend. She showed up like she always did. Adrien gave her a few hugs, a few kisses, did the bare minimum required to keep the relationship alive, but mentally, this man was on another planet. Chloe noticed immediately and eventually left. And then, almost as if she had been waiting for her cue, Shadybug appeared. She was better than him at the video games. She was chaotic, she was unpredictable, and for some reason that made her approximately 10,000 times more attractive. Slowly but surely she started charming him. One thing led to another. They kissed. Adrien was completely enhanced, absolutely gone, brain offline, thoughts deleted. At this point, his entire personality was basically just Shadybug. Meanwhile, Marinette was complaining to Alia for the 100th time. Adrien barely looked at her. One day he acted interested, the next day he acted distant. Because Marinette opened Instagram and there it was, a selfie of Adrien and Shadybug girl together. Marinette lost her mind. Chloe lost her mind. Honestly, everyone lost their minds. After some time passed, Shadybug decided to take a pregnancy test also, and it was positive. And she was pregnant too. And she was conceived. Adrien was the father. Oddly enough, she wasn't upset. In fact, she was kind of happy about it. Mostly because it would hurt Clown Noir, which was apparently still her favorite hobby. She had promised revenge, and she fully intended to deliver. 9 months later, Shadybug suddenly went into labor. A mysterious woman appeared out of nowhere. Thankfully, she turned out to be a midwife, and with her help, Shadybug gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. Shadybug was exhausted but very happy for about 5 minutes because then Clown Noir showed up and immediately started an argument. Naturally, despite everything, Shadybug still loved him. A terribly decision, but an understandable one. Unfortunately, Clown Noir had come prepared. He showed her photos of Adrien and Marinette together because while Shadybug had been gone, Adrien had started dating with Marinette. Shadybug became absolutely consumed by jealousy and suddenly realized something. She loved Adrien. Oh my god! In front of everyone, she announced that Adrien had 2 children. The crowd immediately started backing away because everybody sensed drama. Massive drama. Marinette stood there completely shocked. 2 children? What children? And then Adrien suddenly woke up in the bed. Hold on, was that a dream, a vision, reality? At this point, even Adrien had no idea. Nothing made sense anymore. The only thing he was sure about was that Marinette deserved better, so he decided to break up with her before he could hurt her. Unfortunately, he never explained any of this, which meant Marinette was devastated. She assumed the reason was a simple Shadybug, the girl Adrien could never forget, and while everyone else was busy making terrible life choices. Clown Noir decided it was his turn again. This time he wanted revenge on Shadybug and his weapon of choice, Marinette. One evening he conventionally ran into her at a nightclub. They shared a few drinks. He walked her home and Marinette, still heartbroken over Adrien, started listening. The compliments, the attention, the touch, the kiss, she accepted all of it. What she didn't realize was that Clown Noir had his own agenda. Later that night, As Marinette prepared for bed, Clown Noir quietly appeared in her little attic bedroom. And honestly, the man had a supernatural ability to make terrible decisions seem like good ideas. One thing led to another. Feelings took over. And downstairs, Marinette's parents started hearing suspicious noises from the attic, which is exactly the nightmare scenario every parent wants. Marinette quickly yelled that nothing was wrong, something had simply fallen. Sure, Marinette, something definitely fall. They spent the night together, and before sunrise, Clown Noir slipped away. Several months later, Marinette started feeling sick. A pregnancy test confirmed her fears again. She was pregnant! The first person she called was a Clown Noir, of course, and instead of panicking, she was delighted. Because now, finally he could hurt Shadybug the same way she had hurt him. Unfortunately for everyone involved, Adrien witnessed all of this. And that was the final straw. He couldn't take it anymore. Adrien confronted Clown Noir. Words were exchanged. Punches followed. And from that moment on, they became sworn enemies. At this point, Marinette had absolutely no idea what she was doing anymore. Then she heard a familiar voice calling her name. And there he was, Clown Noir, appearing dramatically out of nowhere like he always does. Because apparently normal entries are illegal for this man, he approached her and held out the heart-shaped necklace he'd given her before. You remember? Then he looked directly at her and said, "Come with me. I want to marry you. We'll get married in the land of dreams and fantasy." Which sounds romantic until you remember this man solves every problem by teleporting people into magical dimensions. But Marinette followed him anyway, because nobody in this story has ever made a sensible decision. The two of them flew through the night sky. Eventually, they reached the old fountain and the mysterious statue. Moments later, they crossed into the magical world once again. And honestly, the wedding was beautiful, like suspiciously beautiful. There were flowers, magic lights, romantic music. Even that strange woman connected to Shadybug was there to perform the ceremony. Everything looked perfect. Unfortunately, the romance didn't last very long. Because right in the middle of all this, Marinette went into labor. The timing was incredible, truly unmatched. So the newlyweds rushed to the hospital. Clown Noir stayed by her side the entire time. He comforted her, supported her, waited anxiously for the baby. The delivery was difficult. Marinette eventually had a C-section, but in the end she gave birth to a healthy baby girl, Clown Noir's daughter. For one brief moment everything seemed peaceful, which should have been everyone's first warning sign, because peace never lasts in this story. While Marinette slept, exhausted from giving birth, Shadybug again. And she had one goal, steal the baby, which is definitely a sentence I wasn't expecting to say today. She reached for the crib, but before she could grab the child, Master Fu appeared, because apparently this hospital has less security than it does magical guardians. A battle immediately broke out. God versus evil. And in the end, God won. Master Fu defeated Shadybug and took the baby. But then something even stranger happened. Suddenly lightning flashed across the sky, thunder shook the ground. The world itself seemed to be falling apart. The buildings trembled. Marinette woke up in a panic, so she ran. And then there were the children, 3 toddlers. If you enjoyed this wild story, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think in the comments. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye everyone!